The Subaru XV is a unique blend of SUV and compact hatchback and has received overwhelming praise from owners. It's been a distinct market segment for years, so it's not very popular. Few people realize how good it is. You have to get in and drive it. But is it worth buying? What engines were installed? The XV's engine lineup was based on non-turbocharged petrol engines and electrified powertrains. The troublesome diesel engine was completely abandoned. All engines are four-cylinder boxer designs, which lower the center of gravity and improve drivability. From the outset, a 1.6-liter and a 2.0-liter unit were installed. Although the smaller 1.6-liter engine is still listed on the importer's website, it has been virtually unavailable in Poland since 2022. The 2.0-liter variant, however, was available as a combustion engine only in the first year of production, soon to be replaced by a hybrid version also featuring a 2.0-liter engine. This was called the 2.0 e-Boxer. A 2.5-liter engine was also introduced to the US market, but only in the 2020 model year after the facelift. Such cars are occasionally available in Europe through private import. A plug-in hybrid was also available there from the beginning, but it's practically unheard of. In keeping with the brand's trend, a continuously variable automatic transmission called Lineatronic was offered with all engines. The exception was, surprisingly, the North American market, where a 6-speed manual gearbox was offered. This remains a rarity in our used market. Four-wheel drive was available without exception in all engine variants, but without the brand's traditional division into versions with and without a reduction gear. The East Boxer hybrid drive system is so unique that it's worth devoting a paragraph to it. It's a full hybrid from a technical standpoint, but not as efficient as typical hybrids. You can start the car with the combustion engine off and sometimes drive for several hundred meters. But in terms of driver behavior, it's closer to a mild hybrid. So much so that even the Subaru importer calls it a mild hybrid, and while this is accurate, it's technically inaccurate. Interestingly, under the hood of the hybrid, you'll find two 12-volt batteries, one standard, the other a reserve. The traction battery is located under the trunk floor. Which engine to choose? The base 1.6 engine is sluggish and suitable only for short distances and those who don't care about dynamics. Acceleration of 13.9 seconds to 100 kilometers per hour, 62 miles per hour, says it all. However, it's also the only engine in the range with indirect injection, making it an exceptionally simple and durable design. Fuel consumption reports indicate an average of 7.6 liters 100 kilometers, 32.2 mpg. This engine can be easily gassed. The 2.0-liter engine isn't quite as fuel efficient, despite its direct injection. Reports suggest an average fuel consumption of 8 liters 100 kilometers, but on longer highway trips, fuel consumption climbs to around 10 liters 100 kilometers. The 156 horsepower engine is more dynamic, though still manages to deliver. Acceleration from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 10.4 seconds is a decent result, but certainly not a great one. The hybrid, with its maximum power of 150 horsepower, doesn't offer any significant improvement in this regard. The only difference is that it gathers power more quickly when starting in start-stop mode. Unfortunately, performance is slightly worse, and the system is more complex. Furthermore, the traction battery takes up some of the trunk space. So which drive should you choose? The problem is the limited availability of a 2.0-liter model without a hybrid. I consider this engine type optimal, and the ideal configuration is the 2.0-liter with a manual transmission. It was only offered in 2 model years, which severely limits the choice of car in terms of age and price. So, if you're having trouble buying a non-hybrid 2.0, the only option left is a hybrid if you want decent dynamics. Otherwise, it's better to choose a 1.6-liter petrol with a larger trunk. Typical faults. Due to the limited popularity of this model in our country, it's difficult to describe typical faults. Most reported faults concern the first-generation 15. Despite being on the market for 5 years, owners have no complaints about this car. The situation is different in the American market, where the 15 sells in much larger quantities. As it turns out, the Crosstrek 2, as it's called there, doesn't exhibit many of the usual problems. One of them was a recall involving a brake light switch that didn't always work when braking. For peace of mind, it's worth checking the condition of the model you're buying. Another, not entirely typical, but common problem is excessive oil consumption, at around 1.5 liters per 10,000 kilometers. This is already above the norm for typical engines, although Subaru considered it standard because their boxer engines are loosely fitted. This doesn't mean, however, that every engine burns this much oil. Rather, it suggests that you should monitor its level and avoid purchasing one that appears to be low on oil upon inspection. Some users have solved the problem by using oil with a higher viscosity than recommended, 0W20. A 5W40 oil can be used without any problem. Anti-corrosion protection is rather mediocre, so after purchase it's worth thoroughly inspecting the undercarriage and protecting it. It's not like the 15.2 will rot like crazy, but it's better to be safe than sorry. However, the paint is weak, quickly damaged by washing and road stones. If the car has been used off-road, which is not uncommon, it's essential to check the underbody protection and the components underneath. It's a plus that they're well protected. However, if after purchasing the car you occasionally plan to take it off-road, or even in more challenging terrain, it's worth purchasing a set of accessory skid plates, available at dealerships. When it comes to the durability of a continuously variable transmission, much depends on the user and the service. It's best to change the oil every 60,000 to 80,000 kilometers. It's recommended to avoid frequent dynamic driving, meaning frequent floor mashing of the accelerator. If the transmission isn't abused harshly, it can withstand high mileage. A well-maintained transmission is key to enjoyable operation, as repairs or replacements are very expensive. If problems occur, such as vibrations when starting or jerking during acceleration, it's best to avoid such a car. Maintenance costs. The only high cost of running the car is fuel consumption. In my autumn test of the e-Boxer version, I couldn't get below an average of 9 liters 100 kilometers. The car performs better on longer trips, where, depending on speed, it needs around 6.5 to 7.5 liters 100 kilometers. However, on the highway, where the revs rise significantly, you should expect fuel consumption of around 10 liters 100 kilometers. You can expect not much less from the 1.6-liter engine. Generally, there's not much you need to do to your car beyond basic maintenance. Unlike traditional compact cars, you should remember to change the oil in the drivetrain. Separate oil is used for the gearbox and front differential, and another for the rear differential. This can be a larger, one-time expense every 60,000 to 80,000 kilometers. Parts are available primarily from authorized service centers, but they're not excessively expensive. Users praise the importer's sensible approach and often cite Subaru as the only Japanese car manufacturer that doesn't cut corners at authorized service centers.